ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मायं ददान्ति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुन् श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं सात्वैतं स्वावधूतं परिजनासाहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपीश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna, Shashwin. Thank you for the wonderful Mangalacharan. Would you like to read the text 9 today, Shashwin?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
First, we have to start with Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya and then Narayan Namaskritya. Okay?
Okay, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Nashtaprayeshvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashriti. Hare Kaya Vritya Vartitam Vas Charabhi Siti Mandaram Tirtani Kshetra Mukyani Sevitani Habhutale. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Shashwin. Would anybody like to read the shloka so we can repeat after? Ananda Vardhana Prabhuji, would you like to read the shloka? Text 9.
Hare Krishna, I'm working at the moment,
Okay.
so I'm working together with listening as well. So
Okay,
yeah.
okay, Prabhuji, just fine. Anyway, Kanchanabja Parbhuji has just
joined. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Hare Bol.
Hare Bol, Hare Bol. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. How are you?
We are all fine, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for joining in.
Thank you for inviting me. I feel honored to be part of this group again. It's been a long time.
It's been a long time since we've had your association, so we are really grateful that you could join in today.
Oh, thank you so much for asking me to be part of the group. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhuji. We are on Canto 1, Chapter 13. And the text for today is text 9. And because the purport is short, we could go on to text 10, but we'll see how it goes, Prabhuji. It's up to you. You can dictate the terms today.
Okay, no problem. Have you read the text?
We've done the Manglacharan and we've read the text. So we hand
Wonderful.
over to you, and then you can tell us if you wanted us to read anything else.
Thank you. So you've read text 9, the translation and the purport.
No, just the text. We
Okay.
haven't done word translation and purport.
So can we bring it up on the screen? Then,
No problem.
then we can do the purport together. Thank you. Sorry, I was a bit late. My younger daughter cut her thumb, so I just had to put a plaster and all of that. So wrong. 4:59. You know, just Papa. Okay, let me do.
We learn a lot from her, so she's part of this group. So, Prabhuji, you want me to put this up?
I think yes. So then we can read the purport together, the translation and the purport. You said you've done the text, the Sanskrit, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe it'd be good if we can read the translation and the purport together.
Okay. We all have our Srimad Bhagavatam in front of us. So we can start as I try to look out on Google. I don't have.
No problem. Yeah, I can show. Shall I do it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Have I got the ability to share screen? Yeah, I have. Okay, so one second.
Yes.
Let me just find it and I'll do it. It won't take me long. Okay. So chapter 1, chapter
So we go to Veda base.
Yeah, I'm on Veda base. I'm on text 9, so I just have to share the screen. Yeah. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes,
Yeah?
Prabhuji.
Okay, great. Okay, so you said you've done the Sanskrit.
Yes, we have.
So the translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay. While traveling on the surface of the earth, how did you maintain your livelihood? At which holy places and pilgrimage sites did you render service? Purport. Vidura went out from the palace to detach himself from household affairs, especially political intrigues. As referred to herein before, he was practically insulted by Duryodhan's calling him a son of a Sudrani, although it was not out of place to talk loosely in the case of one's grandmother. Vidura's mother, although a Sudrani, was the grandmother of Duryodhana, and funny talks are sometimes allowed between grandmother and grandchildren. But because the remark was an actual fact, it was unpalatable talk to Vidura, and it was accepted as a direct insult. He therefore decided to quit his paternal house and prepare for the renounced order of life. This preparatory stage is called Vanaprastha Ashram, or retired life, for traveling and visiting the holy places on the surface of the earth. In the holy places of India, like Vrindavan, Hardwar, Jagannath Puri, and Prayag, there are many great devotees, and there are still free kitchen houses for persons who desire to advance spiritually. Maharaj Yudhishthir was inquisitive to learn whether Vidura maintained himself by the mercy of the free kitchen houses, chatras. Okay, I just think we'll read text 10 because I'm just worried that the devotees you've told to do the verse tomorrow and Saturday and Sunday, they're all doing it like that, and then everyone will just cause confusion. So I'll just read so it doesn't upset your schedule. Okay. So Sanskrit. Bhavadvida bhagavata stirta bhuta swayam vibho tirti kurvanti tirthani svantastena kadabrita. Translation. My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart, you turn all places into places of pilgrimage. Purport. The personality of Godhead is omnipresent by his diverse potencies everywhere, just as the power of electricity is distributed everywhere within space. Similarly, the Lord's omnipresence is perceived and manifested by his unalloyed devotees like Vidura, just as electricity is manifested in an electric bulb. A pure devotee like Vidura always feels the presence of the Lord everywhere. He sees everything in the potency of the Lord, and the Lord in everything. The holy places all over the earth are meant for purifying the polluted consciousness of the human being by an atmosphere surcharged with the presence of the Lord's unalloyed devotees. If anyone visits a holy place, he must search out the pure devotees residing in such holy places, take lessons from them, try to apply such instructions in practical life, and thus gradually preparing oneself for the ultimate salvation, going back to Godhead. To go to some holy place of pilgrimage does not mean only to take a bath in the Ganges or Yamuna, or visit the temples situated in those places. One should also find representatives of Vidura who have no desire in life save and except to serve the personality of Godhead. The personality of Godhead is always with such pure devotees because of their unalloyed service, which is without any tinge of fruitive action or utopian speculation. They are in the actual service of the Lord, specifically by the process of hearing and chanting. The pure devotees hear from the authorities and chant, sing, and write of the glories of the Lord. Mahamuni Vyasadeva heard from Narad, and then he chanted in writing. Shukadev's Goswami studied from his father, and he described it to Parikshit. That is the way of Srimad Bhagavatam. So by their actions, the pure devotees of the Lord can render any place into a place of pilgrimage, and the holy places are worth the name only on their account. Such pure devotees are able to rectify the polluted atmosphere of any place, and what to speak of a holy place rendered unholy by the questionable actions of interested persons who try to adopt a professional life at the cost of the reputation of a holy place. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So here we are in the Srimad Bhagavatam. We are on chapter number 13 entitled Dhritarashtra quit home. He's going. Where's he going? Where's he going? Why is Dhritarashtra quitting home? Dhritarashtra is quitting home because he finally gets it. How does he finally get it? Because here we are at the beginning of this chapter, welcoming Vidura back from his pilgrimage. And then later on in this chapter, Vidura will speak with Dhritarashtra and give Dhritarashtra some instructions on why he needs to stop hanging around at this palace and go and search for liberation, search for salvation, search for some renunciation after so long, so many years of trying to haggle with the material energy. So we can see in these two texts, well, in this text, who's speaking to who? Yudhishthira Maharaj is speaking to Vidura. He's asking him questions. What did you do when you were away? It's the nice questions that you would ask if you haven't seen someone in a long time. You glorify them, which is what he did yesterday, which I'm sure Nikhil Prabhu mentioned yesterday when he did text 8, that Yudhishthira reminds Vidura, oh, you saved us from poison, you saved us from the house of lack where there was a fire, you saved us. So, he sees him, and first thing when you see someone after a long time, you appreciate, this is what you've done for me. Thank you. Oh, you're back. Oh, we get your association. You're the person that saved me at this time. That gratitude comes out. And then the inquiry, how are you? This is what he's saying in text 9. How did you maintain your livelihood? Where did you go? What did you do? And then he's saying, because you are such a holy person, everywhere you would have gone is a place of pilgrimage. So it's a nice way to understand how to talk. The thing is, as devotees, sometimes we forget the simple things in life. And one of those simplest things in life is how to talk, how to speak to someone. This is so important because Krishna explains to Arjuna in the 17th chapter that we need to undergo something called austerity of speech. And austerity of speech means speaking something that is pleasing, beneficial, doesn't cause anxiety to others. And Duryodhan left the kingdom initially, which is what the purport is saying in text 9. Vidura left the palace because of the way Duryodhan insulted him. You're the son of a Sudrani, you're just the son of a maidservant. Who are you advising my dad? Who are you telling my dad that we shouldn't go ahead with this war? Totally being insulted. So Duryodhan didn't know how to talk. He didn't know how to practice this austerity of speech. And he was so loose in his dealings. And ultimately, because of the way he spoke, that's what caused his downfall. It's the way he spoke to Draupadi. It was Dushashan that dragged Draupadi. But it was Duryodhan who said, come and sit here. How, you are unchaste being married to all these men. So this was Duryodhan. He just couldn't control his tongue. Vachya we hear in nectar instruction, Vachya you have to control your tongue. We have to control our tongue. Without this control of the tongue, we don't have a chance. And it's so easy. It's so easy. Just today, I was at the temple in the afternoon, and one devotee said to me, hey, Kanchanabja, you used to come for morning program all the time. Why haven't I seen you in the mornings? And I said, my kids, they have to go to school, and I need to, either I'm going to work, but when I'm not going to work, I need to help get my kids ready because they both go to school, and my wife also working. So I need to, I also need to help in the house, otherwise it's not fair. And then he said again, yes, but if you really wanted to, you'd find a way to do it. And for that 1 second, I thought, I could really get into it, but then he's a senior devotee. And I thought to myself, am I really going to ruin a relationship? He's actually in his mind, he's trying from whatever place he's at, he's trying to encourage me. Now, I can look at it intelligently and understand, okay, maybe this person does need to learn the art of empathy a little bit more. Maybe this person does need to try and understand different people's situations. Maybe this is all true. And I thought about that. But at the same time, I have a choice right now. How do I want to take this? And I said, Prabhuji, please give me your blessings that I can come more again in the mornings. And then I went to the temple room and I saw Krishna wearing green. And the devotee who was talking to me was also wearing green. And I thought to myself, Krishna, you're telling me through this devotee, you want me to come in the mornings. I just felt it. As soon as I went in. And I thought to myself, thank you for allowing me to hear your message, because if I didn't think, then I would have just said, do you not understand what it's like to have children? I could have just said all of that. What was my mind was saying, just go, just fight back. And the mind just, we have to tell the mind, just calm down. And I just thought, actually, maybe Krishna wants me to make an effort. And yes, Monday to Friday, I am helping with the kids, or I'm going to work, but there's Saturday and there's Sunday, and maybe I should. And he even said to me, you used to bring your daughters for the morning program. And I was thinking, yeah, actually, he's right. I did. Why don't I go again? And it's been a few months since I took the kids since I took the kids for Guru Puja, I don't know, maybe 2 months, 3 months, I don't know. It's been a little while. I can't remember. So that it's been some time. So I was thinking, actually, Krishna is always giving us messages. And Krishna kept giving Duryodhan messages. Krishna kept giving Duryodhan messages. Don't get involved with this war. Krishna kept giving Duryodhan messages. Just one village each. You have the rest of the kingdom. They just need 5 villages and they will be fine. And Duryodhan, he couldn't handle it. And his tongue just kept costing him. Yes, that's because of his desires, but he just couldn't help himself because he just didn't have that that practice, that austerity of speech. So this is something that we have, we all struggle with. We all struggle with this. We think then, oh, it's okay, I'll become a great devotee and I'll just insult all the other devotees while I become a great devotee. It just doesn't work like that. We can't become a good devotee if we're not treating other devotees well. And Vidura, he just left. After hearing the insults of Duryodhan, Vidura just left. He left and he showed what renunciation means, that, okay, look, I'm not attached to this kingdom. I can go. I can go. And similarly, the Lord has put so much out here for us. He's given us so many things, and there's so many things we don't have. But what he's given us is perfect for our spiritual life. What he gave Duryodhan was perfect for his spiritual life. Duryodhan just didn't take the opportunity. What he gave Vidura was perfect for his spiritual life, and Vidura took the opportunity. It's all about taking the opportunities that come to us, finding the opportunity and taking them. There's always an opportunity to go deeper in our relationship with Krishna. There's always an opportunity to serve a Vaishnav. There's always an opportunity to make someone else happy. There's always an opportunity to be kind and to give our hearts in the service of Guru and Krishna. There's always the opportunity for all of this. If we look for how we are always being mistreated, if we are always going to look for what is it or why is it that it was unfair the way they did this to me, like this Dhritarashtra. If we think about Dhritarashtra, why does he have to go through this chapter, a whole chapter dedicated to him? Dhritarashtra quits home. What was his thing? Well, his internal dialogue was totally the wrong way around. Dhritarashtra was, I was born in the kingdom, but I'm blind. And that blindness was the biggest thing that weighed on him. It could have easily been, I'm blind, but I'm born in the king's family. I'm blind, but I'm born in the royal family. Like, what a difference in internal dialogue. What a difference in internal dialogue. It's just, you have the same situation and you just take it in 2 different ways. One situation is, one way of taking it is, it's just not fair, I'm blind. The other situation is, okay, I'm blind, but I've got everything else. I've got everything else. So how is it that we see our spiritual life? Spiritual life isn't about how many yagyas we attend, how many rounds we chant, how much service we do. That's not actually what spiritual life is. These are all things that purify us. Spiritual life mostly depends on how we think. How do we think? That's what spiritual life depends on. And that's what made Vidura so successful. He thought that he's the property of the Lord. So he went to these places of pilgrimage, which we'll read about in the third canto more. We're doing the 3rd canto with our Sangha group at the moment. And it's the talks between Vidura and Maitreya. It's very nice. We hear all these talks and Vidura is inquiring from Maitreya all these different questions, all these different things. Where is creation? About creation, he's asking Maitreya Rishi about how is it that Krishna is not contaminated, even though he's touching the material energy. How is Krishna not under the control of the modes? He's asking all these questions and he's getting all these answers from Maitreya. And he's inquiring with even though he has some questions, it doesn't mean he doubted his affinity for the Lord. Sometimes we may not understand everything. We may not understand everything, but we have reasonable faith. So we may not have, we don't want to be blind faith. We're not saying have blind faith, but at the same time, we may have some doubts. So what happens is we have reasonable faith. How do we have reasonable faith? We have reasonable faith because we are practicing a process that is giving us some inner connection. And because we're practicing a process that's giving us some inner connection, we can see that actually, yeah, my life is getting better. Yes, I am feeling happier. Yes, I'm not being as affected by things as I used to be. Yes, Krishna, he's sending me some services that I wasn't getting before. And I'm really thriving in these different opportunities. And as we see that Krishna is reciprocating with us in certain ways, as we go about doing our dharma in the most how to say it, when we're going about our dharma in the most articulate way possible, you know, really trying to perform our dharma properly, and at the same time always trying to connect everything to Krishna, we feel that reciprocation, and we just keep going. We just keep going in our spiritual life. And if keep going in your spiritual life means you have to leave the place you're at because your Krishna consciousness means so much, then that's what we do. And that's what Vidura had to do. If staying on a battlefield and you having to kill your relatives is the best thing for your spiritual life, then you do that. And that's what Arjuna did. The main thing is whether you stay or whether you go, it's performing your dharma in the way that's most connected in the service of Krishna. And Krishna says to Arjuna, Karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturu na maste stangos ma te sangos vakarmani. He says to Arjuna that actually you are performing your duty for your sake. Karmanyavadikaraste, perform your duty. You have a right to perform your duty. So we may be performing our duty. This is a very subtle point. The spiritual life is full of nuances. We're performing our duty, and our duty may be to take care of our children. We take care of our children, and then years later we think, my children don't appreciate me. Why did I even bother? Why did I even send them to this private school? Or why did I even do these swimming lessons for them? Why did I do all of this for them? They don't appreciate one thing I did. Any parents feel like that? Sometimes I feel like that. But then we have to remind ourselves, we didn't do our duty for them. In one sense, we did. But actually, karmanyavadikaraste, we did our duty because that was our duty. That was our dharma to raise our children. That was our dharma. Our dharma to raise our children. Our dharma to be a good partner to our spouse. Our dharma to be a good child of our parents. Our dharma to be a good employee at work. We did all these things actually because that's how we can live in this world. Karmanyavadikaraste. Ma phaleshu kadachana. But then don't be so worried about the results. Don't be so worried about the results. Ma phaleshu kadachana. And not only should you not be worried about the results, don't be attached to not doing your duty. So don't just run away thinking, oh, now I don't have to do my duty. Woohoo, let's have a party. Because if we run away from the battlefield, the mind still stays with you. You can't run away from your mind. And because we can't run away from the mind just follows us, and the issues are still there. They'll just be packaged differently. So when Vidura left, he didn't leave his dharma, because his dharma at that time was to go and practice spiritual life in the mood of renunciation. That was Vidura's dharma at that time. Even Arjuna, when he hears about Krishna leaving the world. It's said in the Bhagavatam that Arjuna remembered all the instructions in Kurukshetra. And after remembering all the instructions in Kurukshetra, he realized that now's the time for him to leave. Amazing. At the time he was in Kurukshetra, those instructions meant fight. Later on, he remembers those instructions at Kurukshetra, and he realizes the time is now to renounce. So this is why the scriptures are a living theology. The Bhagavad Gita, the Srimad Bhagavatam, they're a living theology. As we approach the Shastra talks to us. Depending on what situation we're in, what time in our life we are in, the same message can be interpreted differently because it's very personal to all of us. I could read something, Kirtika Mataji, you could read something else, Nikhil, you could read something else. We could all read the same passage and we could all be doing a different thing with it the next day. And all of us will be doing the right thing. Why? Because the Shastra talks to us. The Shastra is there for us. And we should really try our best to have association with devotees who are trying to live life by the Shastra. This is what Vidura did. He went on pilgrimage. He found Maitreya Rishi. He humbly submitted himself before this great sage. And after submitting himself before this great sage, he just inquired submissively. All his doubts were cleared. And anything that he didn't quite understand, his doubts were cleared. This is what we should do. If we don't understand something, ask. But we should know what we don't understand, and we should know what we do understand. This is the process of Krishna consciousness. First be conscious, then be Krishna conscious. So much of the time we are trying to become Krishna conscious without becoming conscious. So what does that mean? That means that we are trying to bypass this whole process of waking up and going straight to Krishna. But what then happens is our unconscious self tries to become Krishna conscious, and then this unconscious self who tries to become Krishna conscious performs Krishna activities without becoming Krishna conscious, and then says, hey, why isn't the process working? And the process didn't work because we didn't become conscious first. You know, so it's like you go every day to the temple and you're like, oh, but I'm still nothing's happening. I'm chanting every day, nothing's happening. It does happen when we chant. It happens, but it happens at a very subtle level. It's very subtle. We have to be tuned in, but being tuned in means being conscious. We need to be conscious of ourselves. We need to be conscious when we are feeling insulted, or when we are feeling hurt, or when we are feeling sad, or when we're feeling happy. Be conscious of how we're feeling. If we're conscious of how we're feeling, then the intelligence has space to tell the mind that this is how you're feeling. Otherwise, the mind just gets very tangled up. And when the mind becomes very tangled up, what then happens? We think the process doesn't work. We think devotees are against me. And our internal dialogue, when it is weak, will say, oh, none of these people are trustworthy. Why? Because maybe ourselves, we've had problems with trust in the past, and we bring these problems of trust with us to our spiritual life, and then we think, oh, no one here is also trustworthy. But why is that? Because our internal dialogue is saying to us that don't trust anyone. But if we're not conscious of what our mind is saying to us, then we can't differentiate between what is real and what is not real. We can't differentiate between what is an illusion or what is a trigger from the past. We just can't differentiate these different things because we don't wake up. And Duryodhana just didn't wake up. He just didn't wake up. He decided that he just wants to carry on chasing after his desires, insulting anyone who gets in his way. And as anyone got in, if anyone did get in his way, he was ready to insult them, kill them, do anything just to move them away. He tried to kill the Pandavas. He was encouraging the disrobing of Draupadi. He didn't care even Dhritarashtra, he didn't care about his own dad. Because if he cared about his dad, why would he put his dad through anything? His dad ended up totally miserable. He was just totally absorbed in himself. Anything happened, how could this happen to me? Anything else, and anything else that happened, for example, when the Pandavas, they went to Virat, and the Pandavas, they found the Pandavas. They tried to say, no, we found them in time. Now they have to do another year incognito. Try to cheat. Always trying to cheat his way through. And we may think, oh, that's Duryodhan. He's such a demon. I'm not like Duryodhan. We may not be fully like him, but we should become conscious of which part of our mind goes to different places where we have that little bit of Duryodhan in us. And if we can recognize it, then we can work on it. But if we can't recognize it, so there's different things we can do. One is we just don't recognize. The other thing is we recognize, but then we try to distract ourselves from that side of our own personality. But what we could do is just actually welcome it. Okay, I have this envy. Okay, now let me understand I have this. Where is it coming from? Okay, right, this is where it's coming from. Maybe it's coming from the fact that I was always envious when I was a child because my older sibling got everything and I didn't get anything. Whatever, who knows where it's coming from. We can try and understand. And once we try and understand, we can feel it. Oh, I feel sad. When we feel the sadness, then we can release it. When we can feel the disappointment, then we can release it. But if we just keep trying to think, oh, I'm not sad, I'm not disappointed, I'm not nothing, then what happens is called spiritual bypassing. And what happens is we try to become Krishna conscious without becoming awake. And then by trying to become Krishna conscious without accepting how we're feeling, without accepting our lower nature, when there is a lower nature, or whatever that lower nature is, what will happen is we'll just go back into that cycle. But if we can accept what we have, feel it and release it, then naturally and happily we'll be able to move on. It's a very natural process. Duryodhan didn't accept anything was wrong with him. He couldn't accept it. Whereas Bhishma Dev, when he was lying there on the bed of arrows, he could accept. Oh, I fought on the wrong side. I ate the grains of the Kauravas. He could accept. And Bhishma Dev left his body with Krishna just there. Krishna was right there. So what we can see is spiritual life. In summary, just before I finish, we can just say spiritual life really depends on how we think. Dhritarashtra, he kept thinking he was blind. Instead, he could have just been thinking about how he's so fortunate to be living in the kingdom. Duryodhan, he could never get over his own desires, and therefore he was always insulting others. Whereas Vidura, he was continuously glorifying Krishna, whether he was in the kingdom or he had to leave the kingdom. Wherever he was, whether he had to stay somewhere or go somewhere, he was always looking to become Krishna conscious. And if we want to learn from Duryodhan, learn what not to do from Duryodhan, Duryodhan couldn't accept any of his faults. So something we can try and do is accept our faults, but not accept our faults in a way that will make us feel negative. Accept our faults in a way, hey, I'm human. Yes, it's obvious I'm going to have faults. Yes, it says we are born with defects. We have imperfect senses. We're in illusion. We make mistakes. We cheat others. This is part of being in this human, being part of this material world. This is normal. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. We're not perfect. It's okay not to be perfect. And when we're okay with not being perfect, and we're okay with ourselves, that we're not perfect and we don't have everything, then we can accept sides to us that we are not comfortable with, become comfortable with ourselves. And when we are comfortable with ourselves, we'll be able to practice Krishna consciousness holistically. If we're not comfortable with ourselves, we'll always look to others to give us happiness. Duryodhana always looked to Karna. He always looked to Karna to give him that kind of, oh, you're amazing, you saved me. He always needed that from Karna. Duryodhana's psychology was that, and because he had Karna, because he saved Karna once and Karna was very loyal, Karna was always there to glorify him, and he needed that. Duryodhana needed that. And if we're going to be like that, we need someone to always glorify us, someone to always appreciate us, someone to, then when no one's there to appreciate us and glorify us, will we continue our service? We're not serving for that. We're serving because that is our nature. So rather than becoming like Duryodhana, we can learn here from Vidura. If we need to stay, we stay. If we need to go, we go. And if we do need to come back to save others, we'll go back to save others, which is what Vidura did. He's now come back to save Dhritarashtra. So thank you all for your kind attention. Really appreciate your listening. And if there's anyone who has any comments, suggestions, questions, corrections, please do feel free. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for this powerful class. I was going to summarize it, but there is a question. Nikhil Gohil, Prabhu, kindly unmute and ask your question.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Kanchanabja Parbhuji. Just three quick things. First thing, just on the last thing you mentioned about, having someone there always to glorify you. It just reminded me of how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur always had someone there to criticize him, like as a service. He always had that person there to criticize him. So, he wanted that, to keep him humble, because everyone is glorifying him, but then that person is criticizing him, so it kind of brings him back down. Obviously he had no pride anyway, but that's just his humility. Then the second thing is just another comment you mentioned about Duryodhana and how he was not awake and he wasn't recognizing what was happening and just absorbed in himself. So I was just remembering also like when Krishna was on the bed and Krishna woke up, and then Arjuna and Duryodhana both came, and Krishna greeted them and said, okay, to one of you I'll give you my whole army, and one of you you'll just have me, but I won't fight. So then obviously Duryodhana asked for the army, and Arjuna asked for Krishna. So as you said, like Duryodhana he wasn't awake at all. He wasn't conscious of the reality that if you have Krishna on your side, then there's no way you can lose. But he thought, oh, the army is the best thing. And then also, like, another one is, when Krishna came to before the war, and he said, to try and get peace, try to broker peace between them. And I heard that Krishna even shows partial manifestation of the universal form at that time. And still, even after seeing that manifestation of the universal form, he never thought, oh, this is God. I should maybe take a step back and rethink what I'm doing. But even then, so, like sometimes they say, even if God is right in front of you, you may not be able to see him. And then the last thing is not exactly a question, more like a discussion point that maybe just hear, Kanchanabja, probably your thoughts on this. If we look at the verse, and it says in the second half, Tirtani Kshetra Mukyani Sevitani, and it says Sevitani, served by you. So I thought it's quite important, like in the translation, Prabhupada says that at which holy places and pilgrimage sites did you render service? So it's not just which did you visit, but you rendered service. So we hear, sometimes about Dham Seva, like it's important that you don't just go to the holy place just like a holiday, but you actually go there to do service. You know, if you're a devotee, you don't just go there like a tourist, but you go to do service. So yeah, Prabhu, I don't know if you want to share any thoughts on this importance of serving at the Dham.
Thank you, Nikhil Prabhu. Yeah, serving in the holy Dham. There's so many things we can do. When we go to the holy Dham, I think it's the mood of service rather than the mood of a holiday, like you said. You know, ultimately, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, these are all parts of devotional service. So even if we go to the holy name to serve the holy name, so go to the holy Dham to serve the holy name, we go to the holy Dham to hear submissively from a bona fide pure devotee or an advanced devotee. This is all seva. This is all service in the holy Dham. We don't want to just go to the holy Dham and just go on a sightseeing tour without really absorbing ourselves. When we go to the holy Dham, you go to the, I remember when we went last time to, not last time, but a few years ago, when I went with my wife and kids and we were going to different places. It's like you're going to the Dham and you go to these different places. But when you go to the different places, then what happens is when the tour guide is then speaking, you're more absorbed in the hearing. So what happens is you go to the holy Dham, you visit the place, but just by visiting the place, what happens, you just want to hear more. Oh, and this happened, and that just happened there, and this, and you're just absorbed in the pastime. So what happens in the holy Dham actually is that the hearing intensifies because you're at the place where things happen. But the point is that we hear better. And it's not like just, and like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, it's not this we're going for an eye massage, you're just going to see the deities. No, we're going to hear from the pure souls. That's what really, and the best way to do it is like to see, okay, is there a retreat happening in Vrindavan? Is there a retreat happening in Mayapur? Is there there's a sanya, Indrajumna Maharaj is taking devotees to Jagannath Puri, why don't I go there? Sachinanda Maharaj is doing a holy name retreat in Vrindavan, why don't I go there? And this way, when you're in the holy Dham, you're with the pure devotees, that way you render these very special service of Shravanam and Kirtanam. And then if other service comes along, also, we can do it, definitely. Someone might say, hey, do you want to clean Prabhupada's room? Do you want to clean this? Do you want to help with this? And then the holy Dham is always manifesting opportunities and we can take them. So thank you, Nikhil Prabhu.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you very much, Nikhil Prabhu, for that question. I just visited the holy dhams, and we were also told that everybody in the dham, especially, I mean, we see them as normal people, but they are in the dham, they are residing in the dham, and they are special people. So even if you serve them, if you buy things from them, if you give them a smile, you chant Harinam, you talk to them, that is also rendering service at the dham.
Very nice. Yeah. It's like when someone comes to your home, it said, what's the first thing we should do? Offer sweet words. Then you take them, then you offer them a place to sit. Then you might offer them something to drink. You know, it's like, but the first thing is offer sweet words. Bhishma Dev, he couldn't do anything. When they came to the bed of arrows, he couldn't offer anything, but he offered sweet words. You know, so offering sweet words is very important. Duryodhan, I don't think, knew the meaning. Unless he wanted something, you know, he only offered sweet words because there was something he wanted to get from the situation. But offering sweet words from the heart, ask ourselves, am I being genuine? It takes 2 seconds to ask yourself, be genuine. When we offer something from the heart, it's meaningful. Someone can tell when you're trying to flatter them. And when you're being flattered or someone is trying to flatter you and you can tell it's not real, the connection isn't there. So yeah, definitely when we go to the holy dham, it's so nice, isn't it? Just saying Radhe Radhe and talking to the Dhambasis and just having some connection, interaction. It's so nice. This is why people are so miserable in the West, because no one even here looks at you when you're walking down the street. People look the other way, they look at their dog, you know, and then you can't connect. But even if you walk down the road and say, even in Kenya, it's nice. You say Jambo to a few people, you feel like you've had a nice day. But in the West, it's like, whew. But yeah, you go to the holy dham and you interact with the Dhambasis, you feel this pleasure in the heart, and that's Krishna. Yeah. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, I wanted to ask you a question. So when you are not conscious of yourself, like all these thoughts that you envy this person, or you're jealous and you don't process it, and you just overlook it, are there chances of becoming hard-heartedness? Is that how you become so hard-hearted that
Yeah.
then you don't feel anything?
Yeah, such a nice point. Will we become hard-hearted if we ignore our feelings? See, generally what happens when we ignore our feelings, we try to distract, and that distraction is often destructive. The distraction is destructive. And because the distraction is destructive, we will become hard-hearted, because that destructiveness will lead to us doing aparad. And then aparad means we'll become hard-hearted. Well, naturally, because if we're feeling jealous and then we try to distract ourselves, then what will we do? We'll try and find some fault, try and criticize that person. And then by finding fault and criticizing them, we create aparada, we're going against devotion. And then what happens? The result is that it's going to be harder for us to practice devotional service. We become removed from the taste of Krishna consciousness. And we want the taste. Param Dishtva Nivartate. We want this higher taste. And to get the higher taste, it's best to always try and find the good, try and glorify the devotees, try and see the good, and try and see, even if we can't see the good in that devotee because of how painful the situation is or what they've done to us or whatever, always try and see that Krishna is all good and he has some message for us, and try and find the message, because it's always there if we look hard enough. And then we won't be hard-hearted, because then we'll actually be softening up to Krishna's communication with us. He's always speaking to us, whether it's through a devotee wearing the same color, green, or whatever it is. He's always trying to communicate with us somehow. And it's how we see that interaction, how we see that communication. Otherwise, we can just ignore things and just go all guns blazing at everyone. But then what happens very sadly is we don't feel like attending the programs. We won't feel like being with devotees, and we'll justify it. We'll even say, oh, I'm better off without it, I'm happier now. And when it gets to that stage, you know that Maya is working very, very subtly, because one thing is that we're in Maya, but we know it, and we want to get back into Krishna consciousness. But the further step removed is we've moved away from Krishna consciousness, and I think I'm okay. And that's when Maya has really got us. And that can happen if we ignore these feelings. Like you said, if we ignore these feelings, this is all what will happen. We'll stay in the association, but we'll just be in the nicest possible way, we'll just stay very average. We won't really, really, really feel the depths of Krishna's love. We'll just hang around in the background, and we might one day realize that actually this is where I had a problem, this is where I needed to work on. It's when we can dig in and work hard and become an instrument in Krishna's service, then we can really, really feel the depths of Krishna's mercy. And how do we do that? See, when Krishna says to Arjuna in the 11th chapter, "Oh Sabyasachi, become an instrument in this fight," he's saying to Arjuna, just do what you're good at for me. That's what he's saying. You're good at protecting citizens. Do it for me. Do it for me. This is what I want you to do. So for us to be that instrument, we have to become removed from wanting things from ourselves. See, for example, if Krishna wants you to do a service, just be that person to do that service, and don't worry whether they took the picture of you. It's like, but sometimes it's like we're so distracted from the service because the camera's there. It's like, don't forget me. And then we forgot to do our service, and because we're still thinking it's about me. But if we're just absorbed in our service, if we're absorbed in our service, then we actually find inner satisfaction. But to be absorbed in the service, we need to recognize that, hey, I always want attention. Hey, I like the limelight. Hey, I like the camera. I should try not to worry about that stuff and just focus. We need to know ourselves. Otherwise, we'll just follow the mind, and the mind is not always our friend. So that's why we need to get to know ourselves better. I hope that makes some sense.
Yes, it does, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Are there any other questions or comments? Prabhuji, we still have 5 more minutes, so I'll still ask another question. Prabhuji, you said that we say that our children we do so much for them and they are not appreciative. I feel that as well. And then suddenly I've started feeling that I'm the same actually, because Krishna's given me so much and I have never appreciated it. And I've always asked him for more and more. I'm worse than my children, I feel, because how many times have I said, thank you for this, thank you for that. So that has taught me when I feel that they don't appreciate me, how much do we appreciate Krishna?
Yeah, what you said there is like a star from heaven. You know, it's like when you the heavenly planets, and when you get this star from the heavenly planets, and you can see this glowing light. This glowing light is shining on us, because when we can see that sometimes what we are searching for so much in others is something that's lacking within ourselves, then we can give. You know, like we can give what we're searching for so much. We want it so much because it's something within us that we haven't quite become. So if we can become that very grateful person, then actually even the smallest thank you, we'll actually be able to accept that thank you. But what happens is, because we're not so grateful, your children may have said, thanks, mom, but you don't really believe they're grateful. You don't really believe it, because it's like, but then from their side, what do they need to do to show you that they're grateful? Do they need to do Guru Puja for you? You know, I'm just saying like that, but it's like, it's actually, we can't believe that they're being grateful. And the reason we can't believe that they're being grateful is because our internal dialogue hasn't really processed what gratitude is. And if we can really process what gratitude is ourselves by being grateful, then the heart opens up to gratitude. And when the heart opens up to gratitude, when someone appreciates us, we'll be able to believe it and accept it. And then the smallest thank you means a lot. But otherwise, someone can say thank you 100 times, send you flowers, send you chocolates, write you cards, take you on a holiday, but still you'll think, do they even appreciate me? So it's something actually we can work on within ourselves. Definitely.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. There are a few comments on the chat that the class was very practical, and thank you for this wonderful class. So
Okay, thank you all for your kind attention. I really appreciate it. And thank you for inviting me to speak here again.
thank you very much, Prabhuji, for joining in. We really learn a lot from your classes. Can I request Nikhil Prabhu to kindly end the session today? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Are you able to do that?
I can try.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
I think, I mean, I wasn't there for the entire, I was there for most of the class, but so I probably won't be the best person to summarize, but I think you've summarized already. But yeah, I think I definitely agree with what everyone has said, you know, very practical class that we can, you know, apply so many things in our lives. And because I know Kanchanabja Prabhu, I know he gets a lot of inspiration from Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. So I recognize some of the points, you know, there's very much a Chaitanya Charan Prabhu style class. So yeah, thank you so much, Kanchanabja Prabhu. Very much appreciated. So yeah, if we can all express our gratitude. We're just talking about gratitude, so let us please all express our gratitude to His Grace Kanchanabja Prabhu by chanting very loudly the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare
Pancha Kalpa
Panchakalpatarubhyascha,
Kripa
Kripa
Sindhubhyascha,
Sindhubhya eva cha,
Patitanam
Patitanam
Pavanebhyo
Pavanebhyo,
Vaishnavebhyo Namo
Vaishnavebhyo
Namaha.
Namo Namah.
Ananti Koti Vaishnavrinda ki
Vaishnavrinda ki
jai,
jai,
Prabhupada ki jai, Kanchanabja Prabhu ki.
ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Elder ki jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Krishna.
Very good. Very good. Very good.
Krishna.